Hello everyone, welcome to LUKMAAN IAS. Today we are going to have the Hindu analysis of 11th February 2021. So let us see which are the important articles in today's The Hindu newspaper. So these are the important articles for mains purpose and for prelims purpose. Even in those articles for mains purpose, we will look into some of the prelims aspects also. So let us take overview of these articles. First article on page number 6, editorial page, disinformation is cyber security threat. Now this article is very much important. Directly the question can be asked in GS3 paper, cyber security part. This article is having the context of how disinformation is affecting the social harmony, at the same time how it is becoming the more and more difficult challenge and how it is separate or different from the traditional cyber security threats. Okay. So in that aspect we are going to discuss this. At the same time it is also giving some very good points in way forward how to reduce this disinformation on the cyberspace and ensure the cyber security. So we will look into that aspect from cyber security and even the essay on disinformation or deep fakes, and what do you mean by such kind of cognitive bias that is created by disinformation. We will look into some concepts also. At the same time the article involves some prelims related, let's say, pointers like Christchurch call for action or Paris call for cooperation regarding the cyberspace or trust in the cyber security and cyberspace. So we will look into that two important, let's say, international collaborations for ensuring cyber security and reducing the terrorism or such kind of content on the social media platforms. The next article, Himalayas host to complex processes. So here the interview is being, let's say, hosted, and the views of expert opinion on the recent tragedy on Sunday. So that happened where we have seen the kind of flash floods that happened in the Uttarakhand region, Chamoli district, because of glacial burst. So reasons, what are the reasons here it is talking about? Yes, we are continuously on daily basis we are looking into the follow up for reasons part. So yesterday we talked about the dams and damages, that article. Today we are going to understand the fragile Himalayas ecosystem. Then both sides disengaging from Pongyang Lake area, says China. So yes, since April 2020 we are experiencing the standoff between India and China along the LAC in Ladakh region and some of the important points including Pongyang Lake region. So here the disengagement is now being carried out as a first phase of such disengagement, and this is the follow up on that LAC standoff, and this is the let's say good step, we can say that the kind of developments which are happening here, these are positive developments. So we will have follow up on that. And from a prelims perspective, again Supreme Court orders a status quo on INS Virat dismantling. So this INS Virat, the India's first aircraft carrier, which was decommissioned by Indian Navy, and it was, let's say, it was going to be dismantled at Alang, Gujarat. Okay, so however now Supreme Court has ordered the status quo on that. So if we go back to August news, August 2020, there this INS Virat was going to get dismantled, and now it is anchored at Alang, and now Supreme Court has asked to maintain the status quo. So from prelims perspective we will look into what is the history of this INS Virat. Fine. So let us try to understand these articles in detail. Disinformation is a cyber security threat. Now this article is providing very good input or insights and analysis also regarding how disinformation is a cyber security threat. As we know, some of the traditional cyber security threats like phishing or identity theft or such kind of, let's say, directly or indirectly hampering the data stored in the computers or let's say denial of services, such kind of attacks. These are traditional cyber security attacks. However, the article is emphasizing that these attacks, the kind of disinformation that is spread on the cyberspace, this is more harmful than these traditional cyber security attacks. At the same time, they are also difficult to tackle. Okay. So in initial part, it is giving the brief information about the disinformation. Now, what do you mean by disinformation? When the non-state actors deliberately provide or give, spread such truncated, or we can say that morphed information, such kind of, let's say, morphed videos or photos which are propagated with certain propaganda on social media platform or internet platforms, and these are now called as disinformation. Somehow they impact the let's say social or cognitive bias of the person, cognitive mind of the person. At the same time, they are also having certain propaganda. They promote some let's say prejudices in the society. At the same time, they disturb the social harmony also. So here in this part, disinformation, an attack and compromise of our cognitive being. Nation state actors, ideological believers, violent extremists and economically motivated enterprises manipulate the information ecosystem to create social discord, increase polarization, and in some cases influence the outcome of election also. Such is the impact of disinformation. Now, the article is also providing that there are some similarities in strategies, tactics and actions between cyber security threats and disinformation threats. For example, in general, cyber security threats are carried out on computer infrastructure, while disinformation exploits our inherent cognitive biases and logical fallacies. So, suppose a person is already somehow prejudiced towards suppose the minority community in the society. Now, such kind of disinformation on social media platform or internet platforms, they further, let's say, highlights or increase that kind of prejudices in the minds of the people. So this is how they are impacting the cognitive biases and logical fallacies in the minds of people. Okay, disinformation. At the same time, if we talk about the cyber security attacks are executing using malware, viruses, trojans, botnets, social engineering. This disinformation attacks use manipulated, miscontextualized, misappropriated information, deep fakes and cheap fakes. So this is how the mediums of spreading this disinformation. Let me give you example. Suppose a particular, let's say, political leader is talking about certain issue and he is giving some speech, and suppose a person who let's say records that video, and what happens is a particular statement from that speech is cut or morphed and out of context, that is spread only on the social media platform. Now, somehow when particular statement is given out of context, then what happens is the people are not able to understand why that leader used that statement at first place. Okay. So, despite of good intention, that may harm. So that this is how the disinformation functions. Deep fakes with the help of artificial intelligence technology. What happens many a times people change the photos of, we can say that the face, particular face of person and the body is of different person, right? And such kind of fake photos, morph photos with the help of artificial intelligence, they are spread on social media. These are deep fakes, we can say that. Such kind of also other such information is spread, and the common people are not able to discern what is true and what is false from that news or information, we can say. Now, cognitive hacking through disinformation. How cognitive hacking is done through this disinformation? So, just now we were talking about that. The cognitive mind is something that after gaining information, a particular information, the person makes some understanding of that information, right. This is our cognitive mind. Cognition is related to knowledge, right. Now, when that knowledge is tinkered with this disinformation continuously, okay, either that disinformation strengthens that cognitive mind, or we can say that somehow there is cognitive dissonance created because of this disinformation. At the same time, if the person is having certain prejudices in the society, then they are perpetuated because of disinformation, right. This is what we are experiencing. This is called as cognitive hacking through disinformation. Okay, so here it exploits psychological vulnerabilities, perpetuates biases, eventually compromises logical and critical thinking, giving rise to cognitive dissonance. So, in ethics also we need to understand the attitude part, and there one of the, let us say, part of structure of attitude is cognition, right. So, yes, so that the three parts or that is three parts of structure of the attitude of person, one is affect, second is behavior, and third is cognition, right. So, this cognition is continuously getting affected, and this is hacked by disinformation. At the same time, it targets audience's thought and actions, galvanizes society, disrupts harmony using disinformation. It exploits cognitive biases and shapes people by perpetuating their prejudices. Now, prejudices are nothing but the state of mind or predisposition that people have towards certain sections of people, or towards, let us say, particular objects, we can say that, and they are now strengthened because of such disinformation, right. So, this is how they are doing cognitive hacking, these people. Now, some of the examples in India as well as world, like QAnon, the conspiracy theory in USA that spread false information claiming that US 2020 presidential elections were fraudulent. Conspiracy theorists in UK, Netherlands, Ireland, Cyprus, Belgium burned down 5G towers because they believed that the novel coronavirus was spread by these 5G towers. So, this is how the disinformation is harmful. At the same time, COVID-19 disinformation campaigns that were going on in initial period of times, even today also, right, and that has harmed, let us say, the people were not using masks, and at the same time they were not being careful towards, let us say, hand sanitization and all this, social distancing and all. At the same time today, because of such propaganda or disinformation, the people are not coming forward to take the vaccines also, vaccine hesitancy that we can see. So, this is the result of, we can say, disinformation campaigns that are going on. Now, deep fakes is one of the medium to spread this disinformation, and this deep fakes are so let us say they are very much difficult to identify from the true information, right. So, they are used to divide the societies, people in the democracies, and cause unimaginable level of chaos with increased level of violence, damage property and lives. So, such kind of morph videos and images, they are used to spread the violence in the society, for example, communal violence, caste violence, or hatred in the society, divide the people on the lines of caste, religion. So, even we can say race in the western countries especially, right. So, this is happening because of deep fakes. So, the article is providing a very good way forward here, way forward in a sense, good points. For example, as we know that there is let us say some cyber security measures for traditional cyber security threats. In the similar manner, we should also have disinformation defense system, similar to cyber security defense system, right. At the same time, defense in depth that we see in the cyber security, similar kind of defense in depth policy should be adopted for disinformation, so that like for example the kind of check and monitoring for the people who are posting certain things on the internet or social media platform, they should be verified. At the same time, even if they are posted, then there should be such technologies, such mechanisms should be in place to remove them automatically by detecting them correctly, right. So all these things are important and are part of defense in depth kind of mechanism. Then mechanisms like ISACs, now information sharing centers, okay. So such kind of information sharing center which is already present for cyber security related aspects in India. This is non-profit organization. ISAC is the non-profit organization which is let's say promoting the information sharing, transparency in the data sharing, especially between the public sector and private sector. Okay. So such kind of ISAC should be also there for disinformation purpose, right. So tackling disinformation across the platform, right. So yes, this is one aspect. And surely the education. So people should be educated through, we can say that the intervention with media education can make big difference in understanding the context, motivations and challenging disinformation to reduce the damage. So people should be allowed to understand, people should be made to understand that this is the disinformation and this is the right information. At the same time, there should be some kind of propagation of scientific temper and spirit of inquiry among the people. This is the fundamental duty in our Indian constitution, right. The people are supposed to verify certain facts, certain things which they are receiving on social media platform or internet before forwarding that to any, let's say, relative or near and dear ones. Okay. So this is very important aspect, and this is the part of education. And ultimately we can say that we will be able to effectively tackle this infodemic, or we can say that the disinformation, right. So this can be disinformation, infodemic can be tackled effectively when there is cooperation between different stakeholders. What are the stakeholders? Like government is there, these tech giants or social media giants, companies, those companies which store data, those companies, at the same time the internet providers, service providers, ISPs, all these should be working together. At the same time, the defenses which are, let's say, putting in place, there should be cooperation among all these stakeholders. Then only the disinformation will be tackled easily. Fine. So such kind of questions we can expect here. What is disinformation? How is it different from other cyber security threats? Discuss the impact of disinformation on society. All the data, or let's say content, that is required to answer this question can be taken from this article. The implications of cognitive hacking through disinformation are more devastating than excuse me, cyber security on critical infrastructure. Analyze the statement. Again, the article is talking in the same manner. Explain with the help of examples the process of cognitive hacking done through disinformation. Also suggest the effective measures to effectively tackle challenge of disinformation. So try to attempt these questions from whatever the discussion we have done about this article, about this particular issue of disinformation, at the same time cognitive hacking or the similar concepts involved here, and way forward. Fine. So GS3 perspective, even in ethics also there can be question regarding this, how it is affecting the cognitive bias and perpetuating the prejudices in the society, affecting the social harmony. So from ethics perspective also it is very important, and essay also. Now some prelims related pointers. The article had mention of two important let's say international summits or agreements. One was Christchurch call to action. Now this Christchurch call to action summit was let's say initiated by New Zealand Prime Minister after that Christchurch mosque shooting that happened in 2019, right? And that's why the Christchurch Call Summit was, let's say, that happened, and in that the pledge was taken by countries as well as the companies, technology companies. This pledge was taken to eliminate terrorist and violent extremist content online. Okay, so online and social media platform. So this was the pledge. The pledge was taken in 3 sections, one by governments, second by online service providers, and one the ways which two can work together, governments and the online service providers, right? So this was the part of that pledge. It is related to, we can say, cyber security, and almost 52 countries and international bodies are signatories, including India. So there can be question on Christchurch call to action. So this comes under contemporary issues. We can say in 2019 this happened. So UPSC is asking contemporary issues also, especially the international related organizations or agreements. The next, it is talking about Paris call. This Paris call for trust and security in cyberspace. This was there in 2018 by French Prime Minister. So this call was sent in 2018 by President of French Republic, Emmanuel Macron, during the Internet Governance Forum held at UNESCO and the Paris Peace Forum. Okay, so here in 2018, a call to come together to face new threats and endangering citizens and infrastructure. Especially, it called for trust and security in cyberspace or cyber security. Okay, so this is for, let's say, cooperation between different stakeholders like governments and private partners and civil society and research organizations and scientists. Okay, so this is how these 2 important international groupings or associations, agreements, they are focusing on cooperation among different stakeholders to reduce such threats, cyber security threats, at the same time the terrorist and violent content in the cyberspace. Fine. So you can expect such kind of question even if it is not in detail. Paris call and Christchurch are sometimes seen in news with reference to which of the following. So yes, you can attempt this question from the above information, and you can mention your answer in the comment box and we can verify that. Yes. The next article here on page number 10, the interview with expert in terms of, we can say, glaciologist or geology. So here the incident that happened on Sunday in Uttarakhand, Chamoli district of Uttarakhand. So here in first part, the preliminary analysis suggests some of the causes, and then it has given the reasons behind, or the expert is talking about reasons behind such kind of incident happening in Himalayan region, and he has said that, or the experts are saying that the combination of large piece of rock, possibly from mountain peak breaking off, this was probably part of Raunti mountain. Okay, so you need to remember this name of the mountain, Raunti mountain. So this large rock fell off from this mountain and it fell on glacier, a glacier which was already sloping with huge slope, and this is how the glacier and that rock together fell off in the basin of river. Which river? This river Raunti Gadhara river, okay, stream. So Raunti Gadhara river. So here that glacier and the debris that was carried by the glacier and that rock, this completely fell in this floor, and here the ice and snow started melting for 3 to 4 days continuously, right? And what happened after that? Due to pressure created by the volume of water and other debris forced its way down to the valley, that led to flooding and deluge. Now this is let's say somehow different from 2019 Kedarnath floods in Uttarakhand. Why? In 2013, sorry. So in 2013 in Uttarakhand, what happened? There was flash flood, and there was a huge amount of rainfall within short time, and that led to flooding. In Kedarnath 2013, multiple cloud bursts in June 2013 led to torrent of snow and water that resulted into flash floods. Okay. Now what made the mountain peak break? This mountain peak, Raunthi mountain. So the experts are saying that there is continuous thawing activity going on. So freezing and thawing activity that is going on over the years, and because of that activity this mountain peak broke from that region, that led to weaknesses and cracks forking in those mountain structures. As we know that this Himalayan system is very fragile, the experts are saying that these processes and the structures need to be monitored continuously. Okay. So at the same time, the experts are of the view that whether there was any tectonic activity that was created or because of blast somewhere higher up that triggered the fault line. So there was already 2 hydro projects were going on, and the tunnel was created, Tapovan tunnel. So whether there was any blast that was there in those projects that led to triggering of that fault line. So that aspect should be also investigated. Experts are saying that that may be one of the cause, tectonic activity. Fine. So yes, as a follow up in reasons behind that deluge happened on Sunday, this is the article. Then both sides disengaging from Pongyang Lake area, says China. So in Ladakh region, Pongyang Lake along with other such areas like Depsang Plains and the Galwan Valley region, all these were, let's say, flashpoints in the, let's say, standoff between India and China in last almost 1 year now, last 8 to 10 months we can say that. And now we are witnessing the first phase of disengagement here in this area, Pongyang Lake area, and this move is in line with the outcome or consensus reached at 9th round of India-China Corps Commander talks, Corps Commander level meetings along the LAC that happened. So this was 9th round, and after that now the first phase of disengagement, substantial amount of, let's say, the armory that is being reduced on both sides in that region, Pongyang Lake, right. So this is the good positive developments happening along the border. So GS2 paper IR follow up on that LAC. Fine. From prelims perspective, this article is important. Supreme Court orders status quo on INS Virat dismantling. Right. So INS Virat. This INS Virat was India's first aircraft carrier. Okay. But this is not indigenous aircraft carrier. First indigenous aircraft carrier is INS Vikramaditya, right. So here we can understand this was bought from British Navy. Earlier it was in service of British Navy, and then it was commissioned into Indian Navy in 1987, and almost for 3 decades it served the Indian Navy, and in 2017 it was decommissioned, and it was let's say somehow felt that more and more money is being spent for upkeep of this even after decommissioning, and therefore Navy was of the view that this should be dismantled at the scrap centers, scrap industry, dismantling industry at Alang, which is world famous facilities for such ship dismantling in Gujarat, Bhavnagar. Okay. So yes, this is the basic information you need to know. At the same time, also you need to know is that there was proposal for converting this INS Virat to Maritime Museum and Multifunctional Adventure Center by one of the companies. And many people were in support of having such maritime museum on this INS Virat. Okay. However, the final decision of the government was that this should be dismantled, and it is now anchored in Alang for dismantling, and therefore Supreme Court is now going to look into the matter, and it has asked the authorities to maintain the status quo now on INS Virat dismantling. Okay. So yes, what is important for us for prelims perspective about Virat, INS Virat, and then Alang in Bhavnagar, Gujarat is major worldwide center for shipbreaking and dismantling. So yes, in this manner there can be question on the basis of above information. Try to solve this question and attempt this. Write your answer in the comment box of this video. Fine? Yes. So these were important articles from today's The Hindu newspaper. अगर आपको ये वीडियो पसंद आता है तो इसको लाइक कीजिए, कमेंट कीजिए, हमें बताइए आपको वीडियो कैसा लगा, एंड शेयर कीजिए आपके फ्रेंड्स के साथ में. फाइन. For further information on editorial discussion classes or ED classes, wherein in-depth analysis of mains related issues and articles is done by Ansari Sir and team, you can contact LUKMAAN IAS. Thank you.